What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rant Roller Sports. By the title of the video, you already know what this is about. Please like, share, subscribe. And I want to know from you out there, if you don't watch not even 3 minutes of this video, is Tom Brady the greatest football player ever? American NFL football player, not to be confused with soccer. Is Tom Brady the greatest NFL player of all time? All right, we're not gonna go college. I will say just NFL, right? We're gonna discount high school and college. Is Tom Brady the greatest NFL player ever? All right. Please go in the comment section and just don't say yes or no. Don't be lazy. Please at least give me a couple of sentences why you feel that way. Either way, either if you do or if you don't. All right, I'm just going to start playing the highlights and I'm going to speak my mind on Tom Brady. This was a quarterback sneak at the goal line. All of these highlights are from the 2020 season. So we're not going back in time showing highlights from when he was 23, 24 years old. This is a man who's 43 years old here. And like I like to argue in the comment section in a lot of my basketball videos, why I argue in favor of LeBron James a lot is because I give a lot of credence and credibility to longevity, sustained success. I give a lot of credit to that because it takes a lot of discipline to train your body year after year. It takes a lot of discipline to do the things that you don't want to do, like train in camp. But Tom always seemed like he relished and loved every aspect of playing the game, from preparation to rehab to whatever the case may be. Maybe he doesn't love rehab. Who can love that, right? But you get my drift. If you can point out one attribute about Tom Brady that I would say stands above everyone else, if you're going to point to one, and we'll say, well, what's his secret? Why is he considered the greatest quarterback of all time, or at least in the conversation? And why is he in the conversation for the greatest football player of all time? And I would point out to his joy for the game. I know that may sound cliche-ish, all right, but this is what I see. Joy and enthusiasm, and whoever he plays with, he brings that to them, along with a seriousness of execution. He fuses those two things together. I guess Belichick infused that disciplinarian thing in him, and he brings the joy, the utter joy that Bill Belichick can't seem to express. You know, Brady, you know, when it's going well, he's hyped. When he messes up or screws up or somebody else screws up, he doesn't usually show the player up on the field, but he will go to the sideline and start cussing and start getting pissed off. And that's when Skip Bayless starts calling him Psycho Tom. Now, my only question about him being the greatest NFL player of all time is not his accomplishments or his achievements. That's not in question. He's a one-way player. And the NFL started with players playing both ways. And then, of course, the game is so physical that if they saw that you were great at something on the offense, they wouldn't play you on defense to risk you getting worn out or hurt. So that started a trend, and then of course now players are completely separated for the most part. There's a handful of players that play both ways. There've only been one superstar that played both ways, and that was Deion Sanders. If there was another one, I'm in the modern era, you let me know. But the only one that I can come to think of that was a superstar that played offense and defense was Deion Sanders. And of course, you had other greats like William the Refrigerator Perry that used to line up at the goal line and come in for short yardage runs. And you had, of course, you had Cordell / Stewart from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, excuse me, not Cordell Stewart didn't play both ways. He played multiple positions on offense. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out who else of name note that you guys might know that played both ways. I know one of Tom Brady's receivers, I believe it was Troy Brown, played wide receiver and safety and corner. Right? Or nickelback or something like that. You guys can let me know in the comment section, you NFL or football buffs. But, I mean, if someone told me they said Tom Brady was the greatest NFL player ever, even if I didn't feel that way, right? Even if I didn't feel that way, it would be tough to argue against you. If you said Tom Brady is the greatest ever, I don't care what you say. And then what could I really honestly, I mean, I could paint a couple of pictures for a few different players. But when you start adding up the accolades and the clutch play and how much he, how can I say, how he can cast his spiritual shadow over the entire team and boost morale and just boost the belief that you can win that game because you got him playing. It's hard to argue. He's 43 years old in all of these highlights, folks. He's never been a super athlete at the quarterback position. But as far as quickness, speed, and strength. But he has been a freak athlete as far as durability and adjustability, flexibility. A lot of things that people don't look at. How he shifts and moves around in the pocket. A la Dan Marino, who was also great at that. How he always seems to avoid the sack, even though he's nowhere near as fast as, say, a Lamar Jackson. He's not as quick as, say, like a Pat Mahomes or Russell Wilson. He's not as smooth as Aaron Rodgers, but somehow, some way, he always seems to avoid the rush because he just has a feel for the game as well as a drive to study film and tape and defensive tendencies and how you can counter them. And then he has to teach this to the rest of the offense, or advise, if not teach. I'm not going to downplay his other players' intelligence, but he has to advise them in the way that he sees the game. So in a roundabout way, he has to teach receivers that he works with how to play the game his way, how he sees the game. And how can you argue with the way he sees the game? How can you argue? I'm going to take my time with this video. A lot of people don't even watch 5 minutes of a video, but for you diehards, I'm going to take my time. Right? I'm going to take my time with this. Let's look at some other players who could be considered the greatest of all time. Let's look at Lawrence Taylor here. Excuse me for the ad, folks. LT, that was hold up, folks. My bad, folks. I was about to say that was coked up LT. It wasn't about steroids back then, but a lot of dudes did sniff that powder. I mean, this is about a guy that can totally change the complexity of the game, totally change the energy of the game, put the fear of God in the opposing team. Just like teams today have got to be scared to death of Tom Brady, especially in the fourth quarter, because you know Tom Brady will march it down however many yards it is, 90, 75, 50 yards, and either get you in field goal range for a win or drive it all the way for a touchdown. Much in the same way that I talked about Larry Bird being scared to death of him as a Laker fan growing up. I know opposing teams were scared to death of Lawrence Taylor and opposing fans. So that's Lawrence. I mean, I tried to go on the defensive side of the ball. Now let's go back to the offensive side of the ball at another position. All right? And I'm a little biased. I grew up a 49er fan. But so what, folks? I still have to pinch myself. The truth is the truth. Number 80 is in the top 10. I don't care what you say. One of the greatest players ever. Offense or defense. Once again, staying power. Being great for 18 years plus. Now, it all depends on your philosophy of football, your personal philosophy, and how you value the positions. Which position do you value most of all is going to determine more than likely who you feel is the greatest player. As great as quarterbacks are, they're no good if the guy on the other end doesn't catch the ball. Even if he doesn't get open, as long as he catches the ball, the quarterback is good. But I believe that Jerry Rice is one of the few wide receivers that actually made their quarterbacks better. And what I mean by that is every quarterback that played with Jerry Rice put up big numbers. From Joe Montana to Steve Young to Elvis Gerbach, not Elvis, whatever his name was, the other quarterback that came through, to Rich Gannon. When Rice went to the Raiders, every quarterback he played with put up big numbers and were MVP candidates. Rich Gannon won the MVP with Jerry Rice. Joe Montana won the MVP with Jerry Rice, and so did Steve Young. Let's get off of Jerry Rice. A lot of you older guys are going to scream for guys from the 70s and the 60s, and I hear you. Right? I hear you guys. But I'm biased because I'm a kid that grew up in the 80s. I was born in 75. So who influenced me and impacted me is who influenced me and impacted me. But these people that I'm saying now have the numbers and the pedigree to back it up. Deion Sanders, one of the greatest athletes of all time, period. He was an all-star in baseball and a Pro Bowler in football. He even had a gold rap record. It must be the money. Remember that? He was hanging out with Hammer. Dion is still active today. Right now, I believe he's a college football coach. Look at that guy. Look at prime time. She said, it looks like you're wearing your signing bonus. So, folks, you know how I do it. You know, the longer the video, the longer it takes to upload where I am here in the mountains, man. It's a pain. So I'm going to cut it short here. And let's bring it back to Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady here the greatest player in NFL history? You guys let me know in the comment section. Either or. If not, give me your top 5 players. Give me your top 10. Let's have a football conversation. This has been Rant Roller Sports. Please like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.